Hello, world and universe. Welcome to the Trevor Donald Experience. Manifest your truth. And if you're new to the channel, please hit that like and subscribe button. And for all my continued followers, I want to say thank you. And this is an opinion-based video channel where I try to open your eyes and ears up to some of the travails and tribulations that take place throughout our cities, our states, our country, and sometimes around the world. And last one or two videos, I've been exposing some of the things that the Democratic Party has done in the past, and I think it's very important, especially being a person of color, when most people over the last 50 years, 60 years or so, Black Americans in particular, have voted Democrat just for identity politics reasons. Our grandmother, our father, our mother, they voted Democrat, so we just customarily did the same thing. But in my video channel, I want to bring some enlightenment and say it's more important to vote for folks not based on party lines, but based on how they legislate, what laws are they supporting, and how do those laws affect you each and every day. I am an independent, and I do not believe in identity politics. So some of these things and storylines that I'm bringing up is going to make the Democratic Party or make you question some of the moves the Democrats have done and made over the years. And this one in particular is called the White Coat Waste Project, if you haven't heard of it. I think we need to be more readers and more aware and raise our level of consciousness on how we vote. Your vote has power, but I don't think we should vote blindly and take it lightly. And identity politics, just because someone looks like you, does not mean that they're for you. So let's get into this controversial subject about the White Coat Waste Project, if you haven't heard of it. So, Subcommittee Woman Mace opens hearing on oversight of taxpayer-funded animal cruelty. So this story has to deal with, unfortunately, and I will have a disclaimer saying that some of this story is about animal cruelty during experiments on animals. So the Subcommittee on Cybersecurity, Information Technology, and Government Innovation, Chairwoman Nancy Mace delivered opening remarks at a subcommittee hearing titled Transgender Lab Rats and Poisoned Puppies, Oversight of Taxpayer-Funded Animal Cruelty. In her opening statement, Subcommittee Chairwoman Mace highlighted how the Biden-Harris administration spent millions of taxpayer dollars on cruel and unnecessary animal testing research. She continued by emphasizing that recently developed technological tools can more accurately model human biology and identify solutions that are more useful for human patients. But the federal bureaucracy has blocked novel advancements from being utilized. She closed by thanking the witnesses and looking forward to a robust conversation regarding wasteful government spending on animal cruelty. So this is another story about government waste. We know that President Donald Trump has been making a big uproar, and he has been defunding and even trying to close many of these nonprofit government agencies, especially like USAID. And so this story goes into more government waste, but this time at the abuse of animals. So it goes into, and remember, during the Biden-Harris administration also, we had, from a human experience, we had the debacle of the migrant influx at our borders. Over 15 to 20 million migrants have influxed our country and have not been vetted, which is costing the taxpayers billions of dollars. So here's another form of government waste, but this time is against animals. So it goes into late last year, the White Coat Waste Project exposed that more than $10 million in taxpayer funds were spent creating transgender mice, rats, and monkeys. These DEI grants funded painful and deadly transgender experiments that forced lab animals to undergo invasive surgeries and hormone therapies at universities across the country. For example, the Biden-Harris administration spent $2.5 million of taxpayers' money to study the fertility of transgender mice. $2.5 million on the fertility of transgender mice. Why? $1.1 million was spent to find out if female rats receiving testosterone therapies to mimic transgender men were more likely to overdose on a party drug commonly used in the LGBTQ community to induce drug-fueled chemsex. Listen to these how the Biden and Harris administration was utilizing our tax dollars on these experiments that don't make an ounce of sense. And you can't correlate them from animal to human. But they were participating in this kind of animal cruelty experiments that had no benefit to the animals or to human beings. Federal funds were also used to forcibly transition male monkeys to see if hormone therapy made them more susceptible to HIV. The Biden-Harris administration was so eager to promulgate their radical gender ideology across all facets of American society that they did not pause to consider that such experiments are not only cruel but unnecessary. Monkeys cannot be infected with HIV. Yet this federally funded experiment forced them to take hormone-altering drugs to study a virus that they cannot have. What a waste of taxpayer money and what a waste of time. So they're doing these HIV studies on monkeys that cannot get HIV. It is also well known that because of the differences between animals and human biology, animal testing frequently does not produce results relevant for humans. That's just what I just said. So what is the purpose of this? In fact, 90% of novel drugs that are successful in animal tests fail in human clinical trials. 90%. 90% of novel drugs that are successful in animal tests fail in human clinical trials. Today's scientific questions are so complex that we have well surpassed a time where it is useful or appropriate to rely on inhumane animal experiments to answer these questions. Recently developed technological tools can more accurately model human biology and identify solutions that are more useful for human patients. So if they have technological advances, or we have technological advances that will be more in alignment with human testing and trials, why are they utilizing these experiments on animals that are going to give inaccurate results or no results at all? It does not make any sense. Instead of adequately investing in these innovative alternatives, the federal government has continued to funnel taxpayer dollars toward cruel animal experiments. And there are three organizations or three groups that you really should not abuse, take advantage of. And who are those three? And if you do abuse any of these three groups, there will be an uproar, let alone possible jail time. Of course, the abuse of children, the abuse of elderly people, and of course, the abuse of animals. And we have our federal government. If you abused an animal, your own animal, you could get charged and go to jail. But they're doing lab testings that have inaccurate, uninformed results or no results at all, and using our taxpayer dollars to abuse these animals is just subhuman, and it is very, very much inhumane. So the government can send you to jail for abuse of animals. Just ask Michael Vick, the ex-football player with the Atlanta Falcons and the Philadelphia Eagles. He went to federal prison for dog fighting and animal abuse. But right up under our nose, our government is doing the same thing by abusing these animals for these animal tests that cannot correlate to human results. It says today, most of the 27 NIH institutes and centers conduct or support animal testing. 27 NIH institutions support this animal testing, as does the FDA, the Food and Drug Administration, the U.S. Department of Agriculture, the Department of Veteran Affairs, the Department of Defense, and countless other agencies. These alphabet agencies that fall under the umbrella of our federal government are in support of these useless animal experiments. In fact, the U.S. government spends in excess of $20 billion every year conducting experiments on animals. $20 billion. $20 billion. And here again, I will say it again, but if you get caught abusing your one house pet, you have the potential to go to state and or federal penitentiary. The White Coat Waste Project found in 2021 that the National Institute of Allergy and Infectious Diseases, a component of the NIH, at the time ran by Anthony Fauci, we all know who he is, spent $1,680,000, $1.68 million, force feeding toxic drugs to beagle puppies between 6 and 8 months old before dissecting and killing them. So this is the NIH under the auspices and the umbrella of Anthony Fauci, who had made a name for himself during the pandemic. They have spent $1.68 million force feeding beagle puppies, which are dogs, and then allowing them to die. You would think that our U.S. government and all the brainiacs at the NIH couldn't find a better way to perform experiments if we have all these technological advances without abusing our animals that most human beings feel like they're family members. And our government is using them like they have no heart, no blood vessels, like these animals don't feel pain. But the average common taxpayer who is supporting this not being aware of what our government is doing with our tax dollars, this falls under government waste at its precipice. And I think the more people that are aware that our U.S. government is using this money to abuse and or to decimate our puppies, I think that more people would be in an uproar about this. That's why it's very important not to vote based on identity politics, but vote based on how that candidate has legislated and has enacted laws that affect each and every one of us. We need to raise our level of consciousness and awareness on what is going on around us in our city and state government, let alone in our federal government. The conversation we're having today is important. In 2022, due to public criticism lobbied against Fauci's NIAID by me and other members of Congress, she said, another $1.8 million was used to abuse beagle puppies in various drug tests was eventually canceled. Thank God. This is where awareness and not being ignorant, we can put pressure on these politicians and these people in elected offices and these individuals that are working for the federal government. We can put them on notice and get these kind of experiments to stop. She said, thanks to one of our witnesses, Justin Goodman of the White Coat Waste Project, we have in the audience beagles that were rescued from the NIH lab supplier. So you have animals. You think about stray dogs throughout your city. Here in St. Louis, you have a great organization in the Humane Society of Missouri that goes out and excavates for strays and rescues each and every day. They're always doing it. It's a well-respected nonprofit organization. But the hypocrisy and the dichotomy is that due to this White Coat Waste Project, they had to rescue beagle puppies from the NIH, a government agency. Now, how hypocritical and diabolical is that? These beagles are a reminder of the real cost of animal experimentation. She said, I am looking forward to our conversation this afternoon regarding wasteful government spending on animal cruelty, and yield to Ranking Member Brown for her opening statement. So in bringing this thing up about, and you might have never heard of this project called the White Coat Waste Project, please look it up. You've heard of I did a video on the wastefulness, government waste for U.S. aid. It makes you wonder why Trump is, and Doge that he had with Elon Musk, why they were going after all of these alphabet agencies that are connected to our United States government and deciding to do an audit and dissolve many of these organizations that have been around for a very long time. If it wasn't for this White Coat Waste Project, we wouldn't even be aware of these animal cruelty experiments that were taking place. So this story it's a supposition, and it supports a little bit of what Trump has opened Pandora's box up with the amount of government waste that is taking place. This was a $10 million project, and millions of dollars are being spent on animal experiments that do not correlate to human beings. So it makes you wonder, where else are these agencies that have been created by our federal government, and where our tax dollars going to waste and to abuse, and to areas where they have no positive contributing factor to human life and our existence in America. Are they creating some of these agencies just to create jobs for people? We have to figure out what is the point. Always ask the question why, when, where, how, and what the hell is our United States government doing? Trying to find out if we have what's the effect of these experiments on transgender mice, rats, and monkeys makes not an ounce of sense. So maybe there was a point for U.S. President Donald Trump creating the Doge administration to go after some of these companies. It seems and appears that there has been a plethora of wastefulness that are in many of these agencies, and definitely these nonprofit agencies under the umbrella of our U.S. government. This is a very unfortunate situation. Hopefully these experiments on these animals has ended and has stopped. There is not one corroborating reason why these experiments have been taking place, and they do not have any positive effect on human beings. What is one of the old sayings? A dog is a man's best friend, or a dog is a family's best friend. And I think and if you look at a beagle, the last thing you want is to see your cute little beagle being used as an animal in an experiment that has no reverberating positive effects on life's existence. Tell me what you think about this White Coat Waste Project that Chairwoman Nancy Mace brought to the attention at a subcommittee hearing. We need this openness and this awareness to make society a better place, not only for humans, but also for our animals and our loved ones. Tell me what you think. This has been the Trevor Donald Experience. Manifest your truth.